Many people think that being great is something you are born with and can't learn. They believe some people are just naturally talented or lucky, while the rest of us are stuck being average. But is that really how it works? In this video, I'm going to challenge that belief and show you how greatness is not something you are born with, but something you can craft through your actions, choices, and how a teacher or a mentor can help you find a path through all the madness. Hi friends and welcome to my channel. I'm Kira and today I'm going to share with you some insights and stories from a book I recently listened to called Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. This book will be extremely interesting for anyone who wants to achieve their full potential and live fulfilling life. If you are interested in these kind of topics of how to live fulfilling life or how to build meaningful connections with other people, you can consider subscribing to this channel because I have already done a few of videos which are very helpful, at least for me. It was very helpful to working on them. And also I think that those topics are good for anyone who is a thinker or let's say everyday philosopher or who just wants to find new ways how to explore our life. Then you can consider subscribing. I will appreciate it. Starting point. So one of the most important things which the book is talking about is that we shouldn't focus on our starting point because everybody has a different starting point. Some people have more advantages and other people have more disadvantages. So it's important to not to focus on the starting point where we begin. Those advantages or disadvantages don't show you the whole path. And it doesn't mean that people with advantages will be destined to have much better lives and achieve their goals than people with disadvantages. The point is to focus on how far we can get from where we were before and how much we can improve ourselves. In my previous video, I talked about an experiment in Tennessee in 1985. This study is very interesting for me and it explored the impact of class size and teacher quality on student outcomes. And it's about kindergarten. Kids were randomly assigned to small classes with experienced teachers or larger classes with less experienced teachers. The results were astounding. Those in smaller classes with more experienced teachers performed better on standardized tests and also continued to reap benefits into adulthood. So if you want to hear more about this experiment, you can check my previous video where I talk about it. I had a similar experience a bit later though. Here in the Czech Republic, we can decide in elementary school after the 5th grade if we would like to continue at the normal elementary school or if we want to try a test and go to gymnasium, which is kind of a high school, but it overlaps with elementary school if you count that 8-year gymnasium. So basically from the 5th grade you can just go to that school gymnasium. Gymnasium is a term in various European languages for secondary school that prepares students for higher education at universities. That time, the common belief was if you go to an 8-year gymnasium, you would basically have a higher chance to get into uni than if you went there after the 9th grade and you end up in the 4th-year gymnasium. So this was for the kids who were perceived as they had great potential in learning and great learning capabilities, basically. At that time, in the 5th grade, I really wanted to go to this gymnasium that reminded me a bit of Hogwarts, except for the magic and the castle, and probably mainly because it was an old building from 1874 and it had a lot of stairs. The entrance exam was supposed to estimate your ability to learn, and it was a bit similar to an IQ test. At the time, in the 5th grade, our class had an awesome, very experienced, very enthusiastic, and just overall great teacher. She used the time after school to give to the people who wanted to get to that 8-year gymnasium free preparatory classes. We would go there through every possible question that could be in the test for the 8-year gymnasium, and we would try to answer them and correct our mistakes. Then the time came and we had to take the test. I remember that we could even chew a chewing gum because it was forbidden usually in the classroom to chew a chewing gum but during the test they let us chew because you could get rid of kind of stress by that and you can maybe think better at some point. But anyway, so believe it or not, but our group of students from my class was the biggest one to succeed. No other teacher had this high score of people succeeding and entering this school. Since then, I have not believed in measuring intelligence. I believe in measuring learning capability, and on that you can work. And when you have a better teacher, it can show. I also had an experience with another teacher, and that was in that 8-year gymnasium. I was always a good student, but not a great one. I was usually in the middle. I was just like passing through. I did care about some subjects, but I didn't care about others. So I was the middle class, not the top. I didn't have any special skills. And I had some passions as reading. I was into languages, but it kind of didn't show during the classes. But then I met a teacher who again changed my point of view on the whole thing and my perspectives. He was my French teacher and also he taught us Latin. Honestly, that time learning languages was still pretty boring and I really appreciate him teach us new way. We were learning songs from French musicals, we were watching videos on YouTube. It was just fun. I started loving learning French and because of that I also found myself teacher outside of my class, outside of my school, who also taught me French because I was really into it. But still, I wasn't that like amazing at studying and I still made a lot of mistakes and everything. So in the end of my studies, when I asked him if he thinks that I can go to uni and study French, he said,
if you put an effort into it and study, you can do it.
So I realized that it's not about my skills, but more about my attitude and my approach. That time it was always about you are good in biology, so you will be good at studying medicine. But putting the things into your practice is something totally different. And when you choose your major, you probably should always consider what kind of job can you do after that, because we didn't, almost, I would say, or we did, but we didn't do enough research. So a lot of us ended up doing something completely different than what we went to study. Because studying something doesn't mean that you will be good at your job. It's again the whole attitude and also the whole practice and the content of your job can be totally different than what you are studying, even if the major is the same. For example, studying medicine can be totally different than like rushing in hospital and trying to treat patients. So it was from the 8-year gymnasium, basically after the 5th grade maybe, I had to adopt a new way of learning things. Because I have to say, my memory sucks. It sucked before, it sucks now. Or maybe it doesn't suck, but it doesn't work with the normal learning approach where you just memorize things. It totally didn't work for me, and I had to learn logical steps and sometimes even make a game from it or think some stories about something which didn't happen just to remember some dates and phrases. Because the whole school system is just weird in here, or it was when I was in school. It was a lot about memorizing names and places, and the connection kind of was very much lost. So when I started to have this kind of new technique of learning things, I didn't realize that I followed a very famous, at least here in Czech, very famous Czech scholar, Jan Amos Komenský. He lived in, you won't believe, in the 17th century. He believed that learning should be enjoyable, playful, and creative. He said that, quote, the best way to learn is to play. And the best way to play is to learn. He also said, and I so love this quote, that the mind does not absorb what does not delight it. So basically you cannot remember things if you are not into them. So thanks to my French teacher, I believed in myself. And I did not go to uni to study French, but I chose culture Chinese studies instead. Why did I go there, you may ask? To learn Mandarin Chinese mostly. So why would I do that? Here in the Czech Republic there are not many Chinese people. And that maybe might be a reason also. But I went there because I thought it would be fun to learn this completely foreign language which has totally different logic. I didn't know that at the time, but it really got me, like the logic of the language, which is completely different than Czech. As you may know, Czech language is in the group of Slavic languages, so it's kind of similar to Polish, Ukrainian, Russian, and so on. It's almost the same as Slovakian language, so we can understand when we talk to Slovakian people. And when we learn English, at some point it's very similar. Like the structure and everything, it's kind of different, but still the logic is kind of there, you know? Like you had to get into it, you had to like listen to a lot of it. But then when you learn Chinese, it's completely different. And that's why it completely got me. But still, I was not able to learn and to memorize Chinese characters in the beginning. I didn't know how to do that until I realized that I can just make stories from them and memorize them better. So because of my different learning approach, which fit me better than just memorizing as other people did, I was able to even get the scholarship and go to China. So for me, this shows that even like a person who is not good in memorizing things and who doesn't have the perfect brain for languages still can do something they can be proud about, I would say, which is really cool. So this story can show you that different and really hard to get type of skills can be honed. And this is not the best example, but this is my example, so I wanted to say this. But yeah, there are so many other examples from different areas of expertise. So this story was not the best thing because I'm not like the best person who, I don't know, achieved the best level in Chinese or anything. But it still can show you how a person can achieve something when they use a good method. So the second topic is method. In the book Hidden Potential, there are some examples of people who were perceived as bad at something and then they really succeeded in that thing. So for example, there was a story of people who thought that they would never learn languages at all and they thought that they are just dumb at that. They will never learn languages, they will never be able to. And then when they were adult, they succeeded and now they are basically multilingual. They learned many languages and it's only because they found a way how to do it. And they overcame the barrier, which was telling them that they are not good at it. Choose yourself a good teacher or a mentor. I already said it in another video, but when I got into freelancing, it would not be possible if I didn't have a friend who was also a freelancer and who guided me step by step. So basically, if I did not have her, I would be still stuck in my job somewhere. And I would probably try to not die because of my depression. And that I know for sure. So keep in mind to choose yourself a good teacher or mentor, no matter how old you are, who can inspire you and open your possibilities, and who doesn't undermine your capabilities. But also it can be your colleague or a friend. And also at some point you can choose an online person or a content creator to be kind of, let's say, your mentor. It's kind of hard to do that though, because the advice you get on YouTube, it's not precise on every person's life, but sometimes you can really find someone who feels like they are really talking directly to you. Choosing the right mentor can be a game changer in your journey toward achieving the things you want. A mentor provides guidance, support, and invaluable insights from their own experiences. When selecting a mentor, look for someone who not only has expertise in the area you wish to excel in, but also someone who kind of inspires you and motivates you. And it's a very interesting thing. Recently I just learned that your mentor doesn't have to be a person who has achieved it all. And they are completely like somewhere different. And Adam Grant also talks about that. The best mentor is just someone who overcame the problem which you had very recently. Or so maybe those people are just like maybe 2 years ahead of you. So a good mentor will challenge you to push your limits, provide constructive feedback, and help you navigate obstacles you might encounter along the way. Also, a mentor can help you to see your blind spots, because sometimes we don't see the whole picture when we are here in our head, you know, but then the mentor can kind of, when they see you from the outside, they can show you what's going on. And also, if you feel like a loser or something, they can help you to see that the problems you are encountering, they actually had to go through them too, and this can help you to feel like, oh, you're not the only one who sucks at something, you know. Whether your mentor is your colleague, your friend, or an online figure, their guidance can accelerate your growth and help you unlock your hidden potential. So I feel that a good mentor can not only tell you where to go and step by step what to do, but also they can help you to improve your confidence and curiosity and positive mindset. So if your mentor's approach can feel like they make you discouraged and miserable rather than motivated and empowered for some time, not only one day for example, but if overall they make you feel less confident and like they don't understand you, it's probably better to look for another person. It's probably very counterproductive because negative reinforcement and constant criticism can undermine your self-esteem and hinder your progress. You know how you feel, right? You know what is okay and what's already not. My mentor, that friend of mine who taught me how to be a freelancer, was very positive. Not about me or something, but about the whole situation. She was always saying, if you go for it, if you work on it for some time, then you should probably succeed. And that's the thing. Nobody knows the future, right? And everybody has mistakes or everybody has some shortcomings. But if you take this approach that if you work, then you will achieve something, that's the best. Because of her, I continued to do what I needed to. Very often I felt like this wasn't going anywhere. I was unsure if I wasn't just wasting my time. I was answering tens of job ads until I got this first customer. But with her clear points of view that it is normal from the beginning to suck and also to not be able to see any results from the beginning, I continued, and because of that, I worked on many amazing subtitling projects for big companies. Although being a translator is kind of challenging in this day and age, it is difficult to find good clients who appreciate the importance of a translator's work, care about quality, and offer fair compensation for the job, but still, it's the best job I can imagine. So if you want to know about that kindergarten experiment I was talking about, you can check my previous video where I talked about it. So thank you for watching, and until next time, stay sexy and positive. Bye!